Hey, Warrior Saints, good morning. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Father Chris here. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. We are a few minutes late today because we are working on the topic du jour, the Will Smith Chris Rock incident at the Oscars. I'm sure by now all of you know the story. If you don't, you've been living under a rock because it's everywhere. But for those who may not know, the short story is that at the Academy Awards this past Sunday, 2 nights ago, Chris Rock, a comedian, was delivering, or what do they call it when he's awarding an Academy Award for the best documentary. He started with some jokes. He's a comedian, and during his little bit, he took shots at a lady called Jada Pinkett. Jada Pinkett is the wife of Will Smith. I'm sure you know who all these people are, and he made a joke about her that was deemed inappropriate by her husband Will Smith, who got out of his seat in the middle of the Oscars, walked onto stage, and slapped Chris Rock across the face. That image is immortalized already. It's in everyone's mind, everyone's feeds. It is become a meme on a million different directions and so on. And and then of course there was an exchange yelling back and forth about don't say my wife's name and all the rest. And the internet has exploded with everyone having their decision, their opinion. I'm on Chris Rock's side. I'm on Will Smith's side, and so on, back and forth. And I'm going to take a position here you're about to see, but it's different than perhaps what everyone else is saying. And my position is, look at the chaos that a godless personality, I don't know, I'm not talking about those two men, just overall, and a godless society, a society that has removed God from the equation, has removed the gospel of the cross from the equation. Look how unbelievably depraved it has become. We were talking about this, Greg and I, Sunday night when it happened, and yesterday, like, what in the hell is going on, right? The world is so lost. There are so many bad parts of this story that it's an expose on the depravity of the world without the gospel of the cross. To begin with, I think Chris Rock he's an okay comedian. I know people love him. I don't think he's that funny. He's had some funny moments. But truth be told, he did bad. I love comedy. I love when people make fun of other people, make fun of me. It's joyous. But what you don't do is take shots at someone for something that's outside of their control. Like, for example, in our society today, it's become, taboo to fat shame someone, right? Like, that's a thing now. You wouldn't make fun of someone who has cancer. Like, ha ha, you're going to die from cancer. Like, you just don't do that, right? And likewise, Jada Pinkett is suffering from alopecia, which, I'm sure now we all know what it is, and she's losing her hair. So this is something outside of her control. I think Rock could have taken a shot at anything else, decisions she's made, films she's done, whatever it may be, but that's something that's out of her control, and it was not appropriate. I don't care how funny you are, how funny you want to be. If you have to take licks at someone for an ailment, it's because you're not funny, right? That's just the bottom line. He did it, and as a response, her husband, Will Smith, who you all know as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and all of the rest of the blockbuster movies he's been a part of, took exception to it, right? If you watch the clip carefully, he was laughing, and then you could see all of a sudden, you could see it settle in on his face, and he immediately went from laughter to rage. And he got up and went and smacked Chris Rock in the face. Now, I am a proponent of always protecting your wife. Let me just tell you just straight. Do not talk about you can take shots at me all day long. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. But I will not tolerate anyone taking a lick at my wife. Just period. Even if she's wrong. If she's wrong, she and I will work it out later and we'll figure it out and we'll move forward. But it is not ever going to be tolerated in my presence to take a lick at my wife. And so I agree that Will Smith needed to do something. Perhaps violence was not the best choice. It is what he chose. And he went, as you know, on stage and slapped Chris Rock across the face. The real problem is not that Chris Rock told the joke. The real problem is not that Will Smith slapped him and was violent with him in front of the whole world. It tainted his Oscar. It was just, the whole thing was tragic. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that Will Smith tolerated insanity. Let me tell you what I mean. This is where the story gets even deeper. And much of this you probably already know. 2 years ago, on somewhere in 2020, Jada Pinkett, his wife, has a an internet TV show called The Red Table Talk, and it's where she brings people to the table and they interview and ask really hard questions, and they get very emotional. In 2020, she did a Red Table Talk with Will, her husband, and what they did in that exchange was to reveal to the world their marital problems and that she had stepped out, right? So like, I forgot the guy's name. He's a singer, August something. I don't know what his last name is. Forgive me for not remembering it. But in this, so they had marital troubles and they separated. And while they were apart, she had a relationship with this other man, both emotional intimacy and also physical intimacy, right? Like, and they just told everybody about it. And he tolerated it, I think, because he loves her, right? That's not even the worst part about it. To forgive and move forward from it, we preach forgiveness. But her mindset, here's another part. Her mindset is so twisted. She doesn't, and I love Jada Pinkett. I always thought she was a striking, stunning woman. I loved much of her films. I mean, as Captain Nairobi in The Matrix, man, I loved her. She was hot. She was awesome. I loved her, right? But her mindset is twisted. She does not believe in traditional marriage. She believes in an open marriage, which means that the couple, again, I'm sure you know this, but the couple have permission from one another to seek sex and emotional relationships outside of their own marriage, defiling their own marriage. But this is kind of her mentality. She's open to that. And there are a number of articles that show that Will Smith was not comfortable with it. Right? Not comfortable at all with this type of open relationship. If you watch him, he talks about his family and his wife. I mean, it's important to the guy. You can see it on his face. And in this Red Table Talk that we were referring to, she just freely said, yes, she used the word entanglement. But he called her on and he said, it's a relationship. She goes, yeah, I had a relationship. And now their marriage, in order to heal it, is open, right? Meaning, like I said, they can be with other people. This is Smith's greatest sin, to tolerate that, right? Like I said, he can forgive her for an infidelity if he so chooses, which he should. We always forgive. But to tolerate an open relationship, to tolerate other men having sex with your wife is not in any way excusable, right? Like, you can't say anything to justify that, right? Like, it's funny in the grand scheme of all of it that he would not tolerate Chris Rock making a joke at his wife, but he will tolerate other men having sex with his wife, right? Like, this is mind-blowing to me. And as I've been researching and studying this more and more, as you read his interviews, he's really having a hard time with it, right? Like, he's having a terrible time. He even, in one article, he says that it was hard for me to understand or accept this idea of an open marriage because of my Christian upbringing, right? So, like, he's telling you, I have a moral code that was put in me from the time I was a little kid, right? And it's at odds with what I'm doing and how I'm living my life right now in my marriage. And it's driving me crazy. And you can see in the interview on Red Table Talk, on the interviews, wherever else you watch him, and on the night of the Oscars 2 days ago when he snapped, he's at war inside himself, right? He's raging. He's got a raging war inside himself going on, and he just snapped. Now, I'm not justifying it. Like I say, always defend your wife. Maybe not with a slap in front of the whole world. Always defend your bride, but you could see that was all boiling up in Will Smith, and he exploded. He snapped. Now he's got to eat crow and apologize, and maybe his career's in jeopardy, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So as we have picked that apart now, I don't really want to pick on him or Chris Rock or Jada Pinkett, but I want to expose for us, look, that's the kind of chaos that happens when the gospel of the cross is not front and center in your lives, right? Like, I mean, I think, as I said earlier, Smith's real problem was tolerating this open relationship. That should have been the moment where he said, absolutely not, or he walked, right? Like, and he loves her. He obviously loves her. They have 2 children together. They've been married for, I think, 25, 30 years, whatever, a long time. He obviously loves the girl, right? But that's not something that should be tolerated. But because he was willing to sacrifice his Christian upbringing and set the cross aside, he found himself in a mess, and it exploded on not even national, global TV, right? Like, this is the problem. Men do not behave like that. Males might, but men do not behave like that. Warrior saints definitely do not behave like that. Warrior saints do not tolerate that type of a lifestyle, right? And you can see, again, it is not, this episode is not about the explosion at the Oscars. That's just a sign, right? That's just a symptom of the illness of a Christ-less, God-less, crossless world. And so men, as we're trying to become men and do the right thing, let's use this example, this story, in all of its flaws and all of the sadness and all of the tragedy that happened, from the joke to the slap to the open marriage, and try to use that as a springboard to find ways for us to be real men, right? How do we defend our wives and not resort to, public humiliation and violence and all the rest of it? As women, really, as we talk to our gals too, how do we find ourselves dealing with men? And, I'm sure most of you don't end up in open relationships, but let's see all of the flaws of this stuff together so that we can kind of get that chaos and set it aside, right? Because it's destroying us. It really is. I'm sure that you have your own situations in your life where you're struggling as well. It may not be as severe as Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, but I'm sure you're carrying stuff, especially the fellas. Like, there's a lot of pressure out there. So how do we become real men? How do we become warrior saints? Well, I'm going to tell you very simple and very clear. We are going to help guide you to do that. It is not easy. The world out there is absolutely insane, nuts, chaotic, all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes we don't know where to turn. And we've got moral preachers that come to us from Hollywood and politics. And this is devastating because they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? Like, obviously, you saw on Sunday night the morality, where their morality leads them, right? You could see it. I want you to, this moment, right now, as soon as this video is done, which it will be in one moment, I want you to hang up your phones, turn off your tablets, computers, whatever you need to do, and go to this website that you see above you. It's called it's called warriorsaints.org. But at this website, we have, I should say, what we call our library. But it's a library filled with teachings of the cross. How to be the men we're supposed to be. We call that the way of the warrior saint. It's very simple. Just click, subscribe, do it today. Share this, especially gals, guys, whoever. Share it with guys that you know may need this. Because like we always say, there are a lot of males, there are not a lot of men. We're going to help you become the man you are supposed to be. We are working today and going to upload very soon to the library a teaching on this Oscars incident with Will Smith and Chris Rock, to help give us some answers. All right, Father Chris, you said and exposed all these problems. Now, how do we deal with it? I'm going to tell you. We're going to teach you how to do that. Not according to me, not according to you, but according to the gospel of Jesus Christ. There's no time to wait. It's too chaotic out there. Life is insane. So if you are ready to be the man that you're supposed to be, to grow up a little bit and get out of mom's basement, have a good marriage, a good life, a good career, being a good father, good relationships with your friends and family, and making a contribution to the world, then you don't have time to wait. You've got to visit warriorsaints.org right now and subscribe. We love you, beautiful people. We're probably going to talk about this stuff throughout the week, but we will do so tomorrow. As always, until then, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.